Welcome to Shift Your Shit, Kill Your Fear. My name is Marielle, and we're here to get you more free and clear in the mind and body so that you can feel who you really are, who you're really meant to be, your purpose, your pulls in life at a deeper level of your soul. So today I have Daniela here with me, and we do similar work, and I love connecting with people in this space and seeing that they are working the magic of the mind too. And Daniela, thank you so much for being here. And I just want to get right into being of use to everyone that's listening. And again, I always invite that these are activations. It's not just you're listening to a conversation, but you are shifting in real time and that you're making the time for it. That is my intention for you. And so with Daniela here today, we are going to be sharing with you things that are going to allow you to have those shifts as you listen in. And really all this is just a remembrance of who you are. And as we work with the deeper mind, you get to unleash that real you from the prisons of the mind. So Daniela, thank you so much for being here. I would just first love to know a little quick snippet of what got you into this work for you. Because it's always so interesting of what gets somebody into this space.
First of all, thank you so much for inviting me here and also for the work you do in the world. I love that your calls are also activations. I truly believe that it's all so experiential, and when we lean into the experiential side of things instead of just the knowledge of it is when real shift happens. So amazing. Thank you for doing this in the world. When it comes to me, I was always fascinated by minds. I was always being like, since I was really young, a nerd of like understanding why we are here and like the human condition and really like what's this all about, always being that kind of soul, let's say. And throughout my life, I've been through challenges like we all are. And my latest one created one of the biggest shifts for me, which was becoming a mom and going through postpartum depression and having this like really deep sense of guilt that was never leaving me alone every time I was away from the kids, or even when I was around the kids. So I couldn't understand why this was happening and didn't make any sense. So I was in a program from this beautiful human, like this beautiful soul, and she was actually studying rapid resolution therapy at the time she was in this. I was in this cohort that she launched, and there was this room full of people. We were like 300 or 400 people, and I raised my hand and I told her about my mom's guilt, and it's just like this. She just shifted my mom's guilt into like zero. I was like, I don't know what you did there. This looks like sorcery. What do you do with my mind? Basically, at the subconscious level, she cleared that for me just by saying certain words and certain commands in a conversation. And I was like, okay, I have to know about this. And once I know this, I have to tell everybody about this because it's so powerful. And I believe that sometimes we overcomplicate things, and also often the cure and the solution is in the simplest things. And this is why I love so much this modality, because it's quite simple on the surface. It's really like just few words said at the right time and things shift. So this was one of my latest obsession with the mind is it's been activated by that. And then of course I'm also an artist, I'm a creator, like we all are, I think, I believe. And I love to merge it too, like healing art and also mind and healing the mind through creativity, but also through the creativity of our words and how we put the words together to heal people and ourselves and who we love, really. For me, for example, my kids, the way I talk to them, the way I shift things for them, just by knowing how to put the words in the right order, or which images to use with them. So yeah, this is how everything started with my obsession with the mind in the unconscious level.
Beautiful. That's
Yeah.
incredible. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, I mean, we are all here to create. If we talk about this thing bigger than us, the creator, it's through us. And so it's what are we here? We're all have special gifts to bring to this world. And yeah, just like you, right? We both are pulled to the mind and other people are pulled to different art. And I love how you're bringing the two together and we get to make it a dance in this lifetime. I would love to, let's kind of dive in for Guilt. I have some ways of thinking around that. I feel like people that are listening, guilt is something, yeah, many people experience, if not all to a degree, because we learn along the way messaging that it was useful. It was a useful engine to get us to do things or change things, or but really it's taking away. It's using up our energy to being more present, more peaceful, right? Which, if you talk about mom guilt, right, it's taking away from you being present with your child,
Mhm.
So if you're having guilt about what you did yesterday, or, not doing a thing a year ago, and your kid is playing at the park and you're sitting on the bench, do we really want you thinking of that, or do we want you present thinking about, your kid and how much joy they bring you, what you're going to go do later with them, and that you're just excited about just having that connection? Because in that moment, if you're replaying and feeling guilt about something, you're actually creating disconnection versus connection with not only your child, but the world around you and the miracles that are waiting for you that happen consistently throughout the day. But I'd love to hear from you. What was shared with you that really shifted it for you, that others, if a mom, or, and I always say too, when we listen to someone else's story and situations, we're always seeing a perspective of us, even if it doesn't look and sound the same. There is some messaging for you to shift right now in this share. And so Danielle, what from what you recalled really lifted you up in that?
This was like many years ago now, but so I don't remember the exact words, but she, as you said as well, like we have this idea of like, okay, even if it's an unconscious idea that if we feel bad enough, then this will work in other people's favor. We want to it all starts from us wanting somebody else to feel good, to be good, right? So it all starts from us wanting to be, for example, in my case, I wanted to be a really good mom. I wanted to be the best mom I could be for them. And that space was occupied in my mind by um, guilt, instead of being occupied by like presence and being then with them, right? Or even just being emptied by all the noise, so I could be present with them. And this coach basically guided me into why you're feeling guilty. Because I want them happy. And how you think they will be happy if I'm present when I'm with them? So you're saying that they're gonna be happy if you're happy. Oh, yes. So you're saying that if you go out to the Pilates class and leave them with your husband for that 1 hour, they will be eventually happy? I was like, yes. Something along those lines. It was like so simple, but it just clicked for me. And then of course she embedded some commands while she was talking to me. And there was like also the power of intention. Sometimes we don't realize how powerful is intention when we are talking to somebody. Like that's like driving you through your clearing to their clearing as well. So but yeah, it's like ultimately if I'm happy, my kids are happy. So it's okay for me to leave them with their dad, for example. Um, and if I manage to fill up my cup first, then they will be happy. But sometimes these kind of concepts are really nice and we read them in a book and it's lovely, but they are not seeping in deep enough because our unconscious level is not really listening to it because it's not speaking to the unconscious level, which is like a toddler, basically, almost like it doesn't speak same way I speak, you know. You need to speak to it in a really simple way, in a way that is like with imagery, with sensory, and there's like a timing to it. This is why this work is so powerful. It's not as easy as it seems maybe to master it because sometimes the most simple things are the hardest, right? Like I don't know, I'm half Italian, and the food in Italy is like the simplest, but it's not sometimes that simple to make, right? Sometimes it take it's harder to make something that is simple and to make it delicious. So the same thing is for this modality. I feel like it was so hard for me to learn, but it's so simple for when you hear it. From a different perspective, and am I using for you or I'm using to another person you're listening to? Like often my clients after the call, they're like, I don't know what you did, but things are shifted. I'm like, is it even possible? It's like, it's too easy. I was like troubled by this for years, and now you shifted it. Like, I cannot believe this, you know. So yeah, this is one of those things. It's so
Yeah.
um like it's not about the knowledge of it, but about the experience. I was saying to you at the beginning, there's me experiencing that, and my mind really getting it on the unconscious level.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. And that's the thing is we don't know what we don't know. If you are used to traditional therapy where you go every week for an hour, talk about your thing, maybe have little shifts or no shifts, that I call the Band-Aid effect, and that some of that may work for people. I always say, find what works for you, because there's no one
Mm-hmm.
way. It's just finding the way that makes sense to your soul. And but when people, that's what they expect, and they don't see how something could actually, they kind of go, oh yeah, something the app, shift that quickly. And they doubt that instead of, giving it a go. I always say, you can always do it one time and you get to decide after that if it's useful or
Mm-hmm.
not. And so, and instead of avoiding it and then just sticking to what you already know. And, it's really, and like you said, the deeper mind is like a 5-year-old. So yeah, the more simple that you can make it. If we look at, I like how you were saying, even like with food, I think about a dog, they live a very simple life, right? And you feed them the same thing at the same time. They're happy, they're wagging their tail, they're excited when their owner is home. Like, it's just kind of the simplicity, and all you could maybe say that's boring, or that's, like what a life. It's all perspective. But if really you look at that as like, you were feeding the dog food to the mind of getting it really simple, because then it's actually more easeful for you, and versus complicating it. And I love what you had said, because actually I had somebody reach out to me of saying they had come to a group container. They really enjoyed the shifts that were created. Like, do you have any book recommendations? And we live in a world, and again, not that there is any wrong or right to that. We live in a world that we're inundated by. Even we're on a podcasts and books and information. And yes, you could be an expert at all of that, taking all that in and digesting all of that, and still be stuck.
Mm.
And still be, and actually I'm speaking of even my own journey. I went so many deep dives and things, and not that there weren't some shifts to be had, but I think that's the thing is, until there's a better way, where again, if it calls someone to like go do a session that someone, and that was kind of, that was my intention for her to realize, is that you can read all the books you want, but what do you really want? When you're saying what book recommendations, it's saying I really want to shift my shit. And I'm going, do you want to spend hours reading books and maybe there's some shifts there? Or do you want to get, like a 40-minute, like, let's dive into the root of this thing that's really there underneath that all? And then you feel free and clear. And so we all get to decide the journey, because neither of them are wrong. It's like, which one? I mean, really, someone could be like, oh no, I'm so lit up by going and spending hours of my time reading a book. That could be someone's soul journey. And so that's the freedom we get to choose of what we desire. And so I love how you bring that up as well. And also too, like, the self-help stuff, how much do you want to be living in a version of you that needs to have help all the time, and be improving yourself. And we can improve ourselves from a place of, this is exciting and I love being able to step into new identities of me, new versions of me, the best versions of me, versus like, I need to, because I need to fix myself. Like, one is lack and one is abundance. And I think being able to know the difference between why you're choosing to do anything, I'm following this meal plan because then I'll accept myself once I, hit that weight or that health goal or whatever, versus I care about myself. My body's a sanctuary. My mind's a sanctuary. Everything is the lens that you wear within the choices that you make. So always stopping and going, why am I choosing this choice? Even for someone financially could be choosing, well, the book is $15 that I could buy versus the session is, $300, let's say. Well, what choice are you making based off of a fear or a loving of self? And we get to just continue to have that dialogue and stay curious over these things that we're choosing to do. Because if we keep doing things the way that we've always done them, we're going to get the same things that we always have. And so it's stepping into, and again, when we can release these subconscious programmings, we get to see clearer what really we resonate with at a soul level, and what we truly desire. People are wanting to manifest their desires. Well, look at the desires and go, are those really my true soul desires, or just because society's told me I need to, desire them? So I so appreciate your shares in that. And again, why, things happen so beautifully of, you were brought to that group and then have that shift and then realize, oh my gosh, my soul is so excited about learning more of this, which I had a very similar journey. And so going back to, again, we get to lean into the things that make sense to us. That's the freedom. There's no pressure to doing anything a certain way.
Yeah, definitely. And
so with your clients currently, what are some of the common themes that you notice that are happening at the deeper mind?
I wanted to actually add on that, like normally my clients, it's true that you said that there are different journeys and in some part of our life we need certain thing rather than other, but I noticed that the clients that come to me, and I'm sure that maybe you can relate with that, normally they are high achieving women and they don't have time to sit down and read a book for months or to go to therapy for 6 years. They just want, let's go, because I need to do something else. I need to pivot here. Like, I'm moving on, and leveling up. I need something fast. It's like I just went to do my nails. I did it. Now I have to do the head, the mind part, and then I'm ready to go. They want something because they read all the books. They try that, and I personally did that as well. I still read a lot of books. I'm a nerd. I love knowledge, but also I realize that as much as I know knowledge, I know that the real shift is done on the unconscious level, and knowledge can do so much on the surface. And yes, I know that there are some ways that you can still read a book and have a really deep change. And that normally happens when you read and you do the journaling, or you read and you'd go and chapter by chapter you follow the steps. And personally, it doesn't work for me because I I'm so creative and my mind is always here and there and there. I'm not the kind of person that sit down and do journaling every morning. I'm not like that. And I'm in this society, I think many women can relate with that. We are like so overstimulated all the time. So I think more than ever now, people need something that is fast, is so deep at the unconscious level that is long lasting and is activating them immediately right now. Like the shift is done now. Um, so I think that we have that in common. I'm sure you can relate with that. The clients that come to you, they're like, I don't have time here to waste. Like, shift this thing for me. She does shit for me. So I can go on for my stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think there's a double-edged sword in that, because a lot of times that the overachieving woman, and again, those that are listening, if that is you, where you might feel called out here right now, but it's the idea, I don't even have time for that, and so your subconscious ego is going to get in the way of even again, like again, what are the subconscious beliefs? I don't have time, too much going on, or even too, a lot of that masculine energy in the overachieving, like I don't need help, or I can't get help, or it's all on my shoulders. There's a lot of that energy that we can see in people we work with too, of these other beliefs going on. And that's what's so tricky about the work that we do, is that we are wanting to get you to not have, we want your subconscious to be your servant, not your master. And a lot of people at that, point, it's their master at that point that they don't want to be. But because it's their master, it's feeding them things of not to go get the help. And again, whatever it's going to keep you to not get the help. So it's a very interesting dance also with that too. And why anytime that someone is doing, and not even, with me, but doing something to work through the deeper mind is such a celebration, because you're having to work through a bunch of subconscious stuff to even go and do that, So it's really a powerful. Mm-hmm. I just always say, before you even come to session, things have shifted, because you're stepping into a new version of you that's making the time for this shift. And that's power in itself. Mm-hmm. So I love that you bring it up of, yes, this overachiever. I mean, many women, right? Because, we have a lot of those messagings that have gone on, even about being the good, you said good mom, but really it's the deeper, even to be a good girl, to be a good person. Because again, a lot of women, right, that when they were a little girl, be a good girl, right? Make the right choice. Don't mess up, be pleasing to other people. And that stuff can also, at the root, lead you versus you leading it.
Absolutely.
So I so appreciate your sharing all that. And, as to wrap it up today, again, I intend that everyone has a shift within anything about they're feeling guilty about, and knowing that, again, that is no longer serving you, and you get to be free of that. And really, because again, guilt is keeping you out of your presence. And what do you truly want? What do we truly want in life? We want presence. That is the ultimate gift, is to be here in the now. And so that that's taking away from you, and the thing you're feeling guilty about, no one wants you here. It's had you wanted to sign up for a life of guilt. And but also too, hearing about receiving and knowing that it can be simple and fast. And what things are you doing at a subconscious level to hold you back from your ultimate freedom? And we get to ask these questions. The quality of your life is the questions you ask. So instead of listening to the mind chatter, the overthinking, the overanalyzing, start asking questions and get curious. And Danielle, is there any final thing that you would recommend or share for our listeners?
Something I wanted to add on the guilt, if that's okay. I hope we have enough time.
Yes.
Often when we are feeling stuck, and in this case, let's say with the guilt, is because we are imagine there's these binoculars. We have these binoculars, and we put them in the wrong direction, so it's now facing towards us. And of course, we see distortions because we are not looking outside anymore. Now we are looking inward, and there is distortion. So I think the shift is when there is the realization that we are actually looking inward, and we turn the binoculars onward, and we see others. So for me, in that case, I was so focused on myself that maybe I was not present with my kids, because I was like, oh, me, I'm not this, I'm not that. And there was distortion and there was noise. But then in that class, she made me shift the binoculars into the outside. And I was seeing clearly. I'm like, oh, yes, my kids, I love them so much. And yes, I will be present now, because now I see them. And I see me, but I don't even see me. Now I'm present and I see them. So it's clear, there is clarity. And I noticed that with my clients, when I shift things for them, is because I shift that from the hyper focus on the inside to being of service. And there is nothing more healing, I think, for the human experience than being of service and being part of the shift for somebody else. When we do that, there is no noise anymore, because we're doing what we are here to do. There is the real shift is there, and there is pure presence, and there is we are doing what we are here to do. So that's something that was coming up for me.
Beautiful.
Just by listening as well to what you were saying. Yeah.
I love that. I love that perspective. Again, everything's a perspective shift. And, at that deeper level, it kind of reminds me of ego. And people speak, it's not negative. It's just something to dance with and understand and know. But ego is really self-centered, right? And when we're actually in soul and conscious, like you're saying, it's a serving. It's for the unity and the community and of others. And so when we can dance with this ego, or is this, my soul, we can kind of ask that question. Is it feeling like a kind of this self-centered, right? Me, like you said, me. And that's a protection mechanism, it keeps us safe, or it's an illusion of that versus the serving. And so I think about too, if me and you are here on this call and we're both really, focusing on how's my hair, how's my outfit, how am I looking as I'm speaking, and I'm wanting to serve, and interview you and be present with you, I'm not doing a service. I'm very much in my, like you said, the binoculars at me, that is not you doing best of service. The best of service is actually, I didn't look at me the whole time. I was focusing on, you and the presence of that. And so we get to kind of see, where are we not again, back to the presence, where are we not in the presence, and give ourselves gentleness and grace that, our minds are doing the best to predict and protect. And, doing that so keeps us out of the present a lot. And so we get to just come back,
yeah.
And so I really appreciate that binocular share. I think that definitely resonates with listeners. And again, I just thank you, Daniela, for doing all the work that you do to free and clear minds in this mission together. It's been such a joy to connect with you. And I know this will be of use to people in the world, and your light is just so bright. And thank you for the heart that you be and the creator that you are. And thank you, everyone, for taking the time to listen and enjoy. And yes, read the books if your soul pulls you. Get a subconscious session if it pulls you, or something random else that comes into your life. Again, always asking, is this working? Is this working for me? Because it doesn't matter what it is, just are you feeling a shift when you do the things you're doing? And a shift in, is this supporting the best version of me? And with that, I thank you all so much for being here, and we will see you next time. As always, you got this.
Thank you.